Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Standpoint. Now, for over 3 decades, the relationship between the federal government and ASUU has been defined by cycles of negotiation, industrial action, and uneasy compromises. From the landmark 1992 agreement to subsequent renegotiations in 2009 and beyond, disputes over funding, autonomy, earned allowances, and conditions of service have repeatedly disrupted the academic calendar of public universities. Now, this latest agreement signed between the federal government and ASUU is being presented as a deliberate effort to break that cycle and restore stability to Nigeria's tertiary education system. However, the development has reopened critical debates about the sustainability of public university funding, the cost of repeated strikes on national development, and whether Nigeria is finally ready to address the structural issues undermining higher education. Right, joining me to examine the implications of this agreement is Kayode Esuola. He's a research professor of political behavior at the Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, University of Lagos. Good to have you join us, Prof.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So once again, you and I are having a conversation on ASUU, but this time in a very different context. You're smiling this time. Unlike previous conversations, you were not smiling at all.
The institution didn't allow smiling then.
What this one does, it will seem...
well, there's a step forward, so maybe we're smiling as a prelude to the bigger smile that will come at the end of the day.
So the issue with the 2009 agreement, which was the reason for the incessant strike, was basically rested on 3 tripods. If I'm correct, you please. If I'm not correct, just correct me. I know there was the welfare of lecturers, there was the university autonomy. And then the tertiary education system itself and the structure, revitalization of the tertiary education system.
These are the 3 key points.
You know. And does this current agreement address all of these issues?
Well, I think it does in principle, and that is why I said the smile you see on me now is a prelude to the smile to come. The 2009 agreement, which has been reworked to arrive at where we are now, captures everything, ranging from the welfare of lecturers, which is connected to everything. If you don't take care of the lecturers, the university cannot exist. Because they will run away.
And I know it's that note that you're smiling so much.
They will run away. So everything is captured, but the implementation of everything might not be immediate. I hope there is sincerity on the part of the federal government to ensure that what is given to the public is what eventually is done. And if that is the case, I foresee a future in which you won't even hear of ASUU strike anymore.
But how patient is ASUU willing to be in terms of whether the deadlines or the timelines are met or not?
ASUU is an intellectual union. Some organization negotiated agreement in 2009, and this is 2025. You know how many years after? If we have been patient, we will still be patient. But there's a clear distinction between being patient and being taken for a fool. If the federal government is genuine in its intention to work on the agreement and ensure that it works towards what will benefit the Nigerian people, not just the lecturers, we'll be patient. But if we get the signal, I beg your pardon, that we may be taken for a fool again, I'm afraid the patients will.
But so far, what signal are you getting from this government? Does it seem like there's a willingness to go through with this? If
you listen to the speech of the president of ASUU, Professor Piona, you will see that we are approaching all this with a glimmer of hope. It means we have that confidence in the current administration based on what has come up so far, what has transpired between us so far. So on that note, we are getting into this new agreement with trust and hope. Unlike the betrayers of the past, this is laden with trust and hope. And once you get into something that is trust, mutual, there is hope, which is also mutual, you are likely to get to the end of the tunnel with a beam of smile. But I must say emphatically that the federal government needs to be sincere. There is need for the federal government and the entire Nigerian people to understand that ASUU is not a bread and butter union. And maybe that has been the problem all the while. ASUU is not a union that is interested in its welfare alone. Increase salary, then everything ends there. No. ASUU members are public intellectuals who should think for the society, who should be concerned with how the society runs to favor all classes of people or stratifications of people, whether you belong to this elite group or you are just nobody. That is the primary role of the intellectual. Therefore, the news is everywhere. I mean, you journalists are not helping matter. You push it to the world there. Oh, lecturers now to earn 1.8 million. People begin to give you call here and there. Oh, it looks glamorous.
I'm not sure we've done the computation here at TVC. You just told us your money.
But the Nigerians should know that beyond the money, the interest of ASUU is to ensure that the university system in Nigeria is revitalized.
But I wanted to also ask you, because you mentioned, trust, and this government should, prove that they are trustworthy. But the problem with agreements is that they outlive the government that signed them. And that, I believe that was also one of the problems in 2009 agreement, when the next administration would say, look, if we were us, we wouldn't have signed this agreement because it's not sustainable. But in looking at the long-term sustainability of this agreement, do you think that is something that another administration will want to go through with? How easy is it to implement?
I think that is where Nigerians should get this very correctly. Government is a continuum. I don't take the excuse that the administration that signs an agreement will have problem when it leaves another administration. No. If the constitution is stable, it's the same thing. If you as a citizen, your rights and responsibilities are the same thing under this administration, they should continue with any other administration. But the funding model
is always a problem. Yeah. Does this have a definite funding model? When you look at this agreement, does it say, look, this is where we're going to get the money from, this is the provision, and so you look at it and say, okay, because of how they have budgeted for this agreement.
To answer your question quite simply, all these are included in this agreement. It's a very pragmatic one. It is not just a promissory note that this is what I'm going to do. It also goes further to say, this is the source from which I'm going to get the money. And those sources will be, and that is where the patient comes in, that ASUU is willing to be patient. They have to go through processes, the House of Representatives, the Senate, they are passed into law. And by the time any other person tampers with it, it becomes criminal to do. So we're patient to allow the processes go on so that we can arrive at ultimate documents that will benefit the Nigerian university system. It's not about the lecturer. It's about your children and my children.
Well, some people will say, well, in this particular case, it looks like the lecturers are the one who are benefiting the most.
Yeah, because
that it makes more provision for the lecturers. Maybe I don't know about the entire outlook of the tertiary education system.
Perhaps they lack that understanding, and I don't blame anybody because we don't do the same things. The lecturers are the drivers of the university, and the universities are the places where we produce the elites who will take care of this country. Take charge of this country today, tomorrow, and if there's anything like that, day after tomorrow. So when you take care of lecturers, you take care of the nation. Okay? So the children who attend Nigerian University as at today are those who do not have the frivolity of schooling abroad, but they need to get quality education. For my own children to be able to get quality education, and perhaps your own child, because I don't think you earn the 13 billion allowances that the ministers and the senators earn. So for you and I, who are ordinary citizens of Nigeria, to have good education for our children is the reason ASUU fights, and that fight should be sustainable. I tell people, if this will interest Nigerians, that if you sound the conscience of an average intellectual in the university, he's not interested in becoming a senator, a minister. This is not his calling. I mean, you can be, if you like the money, if you can do this. The intellectual is interested in doing his core duties, teaching, community service, and research. All we have been saying, and I think all this government has tried to do with us in terms of agreement, is understand that give us the enabling environment to thrive in teaching, to excel in community service and research, then but our uncle, who would not like take 100 million as senator or president, who is interested? I don't want to be a senator. I don't want to be a president. I am happy being a teacher in the university. So if you allow me to do what I'm supposed to do and you give me the enabling environment, I say hi to you wherever you are, and the whole structure of the country begin to run.
You said a lot of things that I want us to unpack, but it is a lot. So I'm just going to take some points out of it. One of them is the issue of transparency, because as you speak, right, some people are also saying, look, as much has been given to ASUU, there's also that level of accountability and transparency that they've not seen within the tertiary institutions, that as much as it looks like you're asking for autonomy and not giving accountability. And so where does ASUU meet the federal government in terms of this agreement when it comes to accountability from the institutions as well? If
you have the opportunity to pry into ASUU's antecedents, we have been in the forefront of accountability because we are intellectuals, and I've just described to you what our role is in the society. We want things to go on the way they go. It is ASUU who will invite government to come and do visitation and investigate the spending and expenses of the officers in the universities owned by the federal government. ASUU had to do that severally before the government did it. So if there's any organization that is transparency prone, accountability prone, it is ASUU. It is known, it's documented everywhere in this country. So ASUU, again, and I'm saying this on behalf of our members, ASUU is ready to partner with the federal government to ensure that there is huge level of transparency as well as accountability in the university system. Because it is only when those things occur, it is only when the universities are transparent and accountable that we will be able to do our work.
So basically you're saying that some of those issues we've had or we've heard with governing councils, those, will I say whistleblowing was done by ASUU?
No, of course. I mean, it's everywhere. You remember a recent case in the University of Lagos when there was crisis between a vice-chancellor and a pro-chancellor. You knew the position of ASUU. Follow the right channel. Don't come here and unpressed because you're appointed by the president. Follow the law. That's ASUU for you. And that's the role of the intellectual. So we will, and that's not a promise, it's part of what we are designed to do. We will work with federal government at the state level. ASUU members will also work with state government to ensure that there are transparency and accountability in the university system. Because, please mark this, it is only such things exist that we can also do our works the way they are expected. Yeah.
Let's talk about research, which is one of the areas I am, most of all the things that we're saying, I am interested in your welfare, but research for me is very key. Because for a really long time as a country, I'm not sure we have churned out any global competitive research. I'm not saying we don't have people who are capable. Maybe it's the funding that was the challenge. Does it now guarantee that we can compete globally with academics in other countries? Because when I read a lot of research, you find that, in so-and-so university in America, so-and-so person did this. But, it will also be pleasing to find that, Nigerian lecturers are doing the same thing. Does this guarantee that we start to see that global competitive research?
It should guarantee if there is faithfulness in the implementation. But let me correct the impression that Nigerians have not been part of the story of groundbreaking research works around the world. I don't think that is particularly correct. What may be missing is the fact that we are not part of those who do the funding. But in terms of those who are active in line with discovery,
independent of foreign universities. I'm not saying that Nigerians are not partnering with universities abroad.
That's what I'm saying.
I am saying that Nigerians, of course, Nigerians are in most top-notch researchers in the world. You find a Nigerian. Of course. But my point is independent
Nigerian intellectuals from Nigerian universities, not necessarily those who are abroad, from Nigerian universities.
I am saying, and I agree with you, Prof, but I'm saying a research that we can call our own. We say we have a group of lecturers from different universities in Nigeria doing this research for Nigeria, and it becomes a global, a globally accepted research.
So you can only join me in hoping, okay, that this agreement is faithfully implemented. If it does, we're going to see better engagement of research in our university. We've been doing a lot. And people also have the tendency to think that research is all about scientific discovery or technological discovery. There's a tendency to think that, no, that's an infinitesimal part of it. There are social sciences in research, there are linguistics in research, there are 1,000,001 other things that the people in the world don't really glamorize that way. We are part of it, but with this agreement, if faithfully implemented, we're going to see better days, and Nigerians' name will go back to the world as leaders in research and teaching. I can assure you. And
Prof, I've spoken to you a couple of times, like I mentioned, on this issue. One of your biggest pain, I remember, maybe on 2 occasions, you did mention it, that especially in the University of Lagos, that most of your colleagues have left for greener pastures abroad, and that the burden of falls on just a few people, the shoulders of people to do the work. And as you said it, I felt brain drain. I felt your pain, and I'm like, oh, Prof must be doing a lot at this moment with little pay. But does this also guarantee that we now put this is a stopgap measure, to stop brain drain from our universities?
So you see, the thing is that when people already leave, they need to be very well convinced before they decide to come back. This agreement is a step, is a starter step. But by the time it begins to show that there is sincerity of commitment in ensuring that this agreement works, most of those who have gone will want to come back. I mean, you can tap into the psychology of an average intellectual. You are very local, even when your work is global, You don't bow to one country claiming superiority over you. Part of your intellectual arrogance does not allow you to stay in a country where you are treated as a second fiddle. Ultimately, our members have been forced into going to such part of the world where they are treated as nobody because of the conditions at home. And I think if this agreement that has been signed is implemented faithfully with good commitment, a lot of people will begin to consider returning to their base while they still conduct their research works globally. Those of us who refuse to leave should also be accorded some respect, because when it was hard, it's still hard until we see this new agreement being implemented. We decided to stay because we know that this is our father's country, this is where we are, and we must ensure that we engage in the struggle to ensure that our country is better. Those countries that people run to got to the levels that they are because some people insisted they needed to stay and struggle. So that is the position of ASUU. And I think the Minister of Education made a similar remark by thanking the members of the university, intellectuals, for ensuring that they partner with government in ensuring that we have a better society. That's our role. Okay, nobody should thank us for it. We just want people to appreciate and give us what we need to do our work. Then we'll have a better country. So, in summary, it will take time for those who have left to decide to come back. They need to be convinced that there is sincerity of purpose, there's commitment of purpose, and there is a political willingness to ensure that this does not backfire again, this does not somersault again. Once that is taken, Nigeria will take its proper lead. I mean, we grew up in this country when people came from Europe and America and other parts of the world, including Africa, South Africa, to study here in Ibadan, in the University of Lagos. You walk into an average university campus then, and you see the white, the black, the Hispanic, all of them interacting for the purposes of teaching and research. That became impossible at the time in this country. And I hope that with this agreement that is signed, such days will return, because the essence of university is that global competition and interaction. Humbly speaking, there is hardly any part of this world that I've not been to And what has taken me there is research. But I won't also want to live outside Nigeria for anything, irrespective of how glamorous things are over there. The purpose is to visit, teach what you know, discuss your idea, interact with colleagues, and return to your base.
And on that, so I have a couple of questions to ask you, but I have very limited time. I was going to ask you about, other sister associations, Kono and Co. But last time we spoke, you didn't even recognize them, so I'll just leave it.
No, but it's not my place to recognize them. I just explained sincerely that I hear one organization like that, but I don't know anything about them.
I want to ask a question, standing on what you just, last thing you said about, collaboration with other universities, global competitive research, other universities, around the world.
Yeah.
This might not be part of the agreement, but as you said, it came to my mind because most times when you go online and you're applying for several fellowships, you find that most of them, are fellowships abroad. Right, who are looking for opportunity. And I keep asking myself, when are we going to have those kind of research fellowships or just academic fellowships within the country that also brings people to the country to learn?
Thank you for touching that detailed aspect. I can assure you we already have it, but we need to bring it down to the level of institutional glamour. At my institute, for instance, Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, we have been having postdoctoral fellowship and research fellowship for the past 7-8 years. And people have come from all over the world. Like we go, people have come from Europe, America, the big universities around the world, name it, to enjoy the fellowship with us. So we engage in several other things like that. That is something that we are doing in the University of Lagos. I'm afraid I do not know any other Nigerian university doing that now. UNILAG is unique. I'm sure you'll agree with me. But now that this agreement is signed, it will, or let me be cautious, it promises to open up more spaces that will create room for such things as fellowship, as postdoctoral, as cross-country, cross-disciplinary, and interdisciplinary research works that will culminate into what you and I are thinking about. But in the University of Lagos, we have fellowships.
So that people just keep taking our brains for research abroad, and then, we're not doing the same here.
No, we have it in
the country. All right, thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you very much.
A lot of questions to ask, but my time is up. Thank you so much.
We can't finish all the questions.
Absolutely, when it comes to the education system.
Some other day there will be.
Research Professor of Political Behavior at the Institute of African and Diaspora Studies, University of Lagos. Kayode Esola, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you. And congratulations again. We hope this is implemented to the latter.
Well, let's wait till the end of the month.
When that is done, I'll come for a part of your salary.
Yes, no problem.
I'll call you.
I'll take you. I'll take you for a lunch at Sarton.
No problem.
And then the whole salary will go.
That must be a lot of money. All right, that's our show for today. Remember the views and reactions of our resource persons. There's, like Prof mentioned, that people are earning 14 billion. It's Prof's view. You can watch a repeat of this episode at 11 p.m. tonight and at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. Thanks for watching. I am Precious Amba. You'll be back on Standpoint next Saturday.